It's no surprise that in the launch week of Call of Duty World War II, we are going to have bugs and issues throughout the game intermittently, and that's happened with every single Call of Duty thus far. Though a lot of people every single year will focus on this potentially being the worst, and that topic comes up every single year. Now, while of course I'm not trying to excuse these sorts of things that have happened in terms of both developmental glitches, bugs, or anything like that, it is something that does happen a lot more than we ever think about, and launch is just one of those times in which they pop up a tremendous amount. Simply because, as I believe I mentioned in a video recently, when you're developing something, it's almost impossible to make sure everything is perfectly ironed out because your QA team is only a few dozen people at a time. Whereas whenever you introduce this product then to millions of people, of course there's going to be a lot more issues that pop up left, right, and center. So while it's something that, once again, I don't want to try and make it sound like I'm excusing this, they will happen every single year and in every single game ever released, essentially. But that said, a lot of people are focusing on a lot of the issues within Call of Duty World War II because it does seem like there are a lot of them. And one thing in particular that I saw recently scrolling through Reddit was that there was a list of 154 different things that people had complaints about. Some of them a lot more minor than others. Some things, yes, were larger bugs and glitches, but there were things that people were calling out left, right, and center. And so while there are a lot of things on people's minds, Activision support is actively taking a listen to as much as physically possible. Now, you can submit a ticket and everything like that to have your issue addressed formally, but one thing that is happening with all these different influxes of people submitting tickets is that a lot of these tickets will be addressing these same topics. So Activision actually came out with their support and issued an article talking about 14 things that they are actively looking into and know are issues and should be resolved here very shortly. So once again, while I have mentioned that many people have various different complaints, either whether small or large in Call of Duty World War II, like Reddit had a list of over 150 of these, you very well may have some things that you're not too fond of at the moment, but these 14 things are things that Activision has actually addressed head on, just so they can kind of focus on doing this without having an influx of these common issues being addressed in tickets and everything like that. So let's jump into the 14 things here. The first one being, and probably one of the biggest you may have experienced already, the disconnected from server messages. In either after action reports or in game, this is something in which it kicks players out and kicks them back out to the start and off the server entirely. Now, a lot of the times you'll actually still be in the lobby with people, or you'll end up just being kicked out in general, to where you can end up going back and finding a match where you're still connected online. It's just that game or that lobby in particular ended up having an issue with it. Now, as for this, there's no specific fix as of yet. Just as with a lot of these, there won't be specific fixes for a lot of these just yet, but they are being investigated, so it's something that, once again, probably will be progressing within the next few days or so. Now, a newer one that I've seen in the past couple of days, and that sounds kind of weird to say because it's only been 5 days since the game's been out, but it is one that I've seen probably in the past 1 to 2, maybe 3 days at most, is that people can't pick up orders and contracts. Now, from what I've heard, this is a glitch from prestiging, a little bit of a bug that happens in headquarters where you go in prestige and then for some whatever reason, it ends up locking you out of being able to pick up new orders and contracts. That's an addressed bug that is being worked on, but as well, on the flip side too, you can't actually redeem orders and contracts at some times, so you can't get those rewards of either XP, social score, double weapon XP, supply drops, rare supply drops, whatever it may be. This is something that has also been there a little bit more so since day one, but I do recall that it also ties in a lot more so with these new orders and contracts that people are already having a tough time picking up. So the system itself is one that has a little bit of a bug about it at the very moment. And the next thing deals a little bit with accepting invitations, because while invitation systems always seem to have bugs whenever the game first launches, it is one that a lot of people seem to be having this problem specifically within World War II over the last 24 to 36 hours from what I've seen. Now, another big one that a lot of people are mentioning, and one that I definitely think is worth mentioning, is class resets, because class resetting, this is where it will completely wipe your entire division class setup that you have made, and this is predominantly happening after equipping a variant of a weapon on. So whereas you think you're all good and everything like that, you could jump into a game and your class could not even be there. So that's a problem that I've heard a little bit of mumble about, but not all that much, but it has worked its way up to the top to the point in which Activision has directly addressed it. Now, another big one that I even personally experienced a lot of, but honestly not all that much in recent days since this. It was probably, I think, the day after launch, maybe the day of, give or take a day here and there, but right after the launch, I had this problem a lot, but people were getting stuck in the end game after action report. this was a huge problem because you could not change any class, you couldn't check anything in terms of progression or whatever it may be. You were simply stuck there for a good 60 seconds before the match started up next. Now, this happened once again, like I said, on the first day or so after the launch for me. Then I haven't really seen any issues with it since, but it seems like it's still a massive issue that it's being addressed head on by Activision. So I guess it kind of goes to show how much the experience can greatly vary from one player to another. So if you have come in contact with that one, hopefully it doesn't last for that much longer. Now the next thing deals with digital pre-order content. And again, I had some issues with this one, but in a different fashion because it's gonna come back up in a later point in time here. But this one in particular they addressed here at this one ends up dealing with players not being able to get the bonus content from digital, standard, and digital deluxe editions of the game. So therefore, if you ended up getting any of the bonuses from that, you might have had some issues and may still have some issues getting that content onto your account and your console itself so you can actually use it. And skipping ahead a little bit just so we can kind of stay on topic with digital pre-order content, and this is where I actually had some of my issues then also because it doesn't just encompass the digital versions, it encompasses the disc versions as well too. The first of these next two things dealing with pre-order content is that some of the bonus content can get stuck in the mail station. Now what I personally experienced with this was that I could not get Carrington available to download for a little bit of time, and it was stuck the icon right there in the mail station. I was able to redeem my zombies camo, my special beta helmet and everything like that, but Carrington itself was stuck in there, and so it seemed like some of this content was kind of arbitrary and more so random as to what got stuck versus what did not. But I personally have experienced some of this, you guys very well may as well too. But the next thing actually deals with the multiplayer upgrade and prestige unlock tokens not showing up. Now this is one that I was supposed to have. I for the longest time thought maybe I just used this on something else in which I accidentally permanently unlocked something at a lower rank, but then I started talking about it in videos here and there, and a lot of you guys said, well hey, I don't have mine either, and I didn't unlock anything, I know that for a fact. I've kept track of what I've unlocked, and none of it was with a prestige token. So it seems like some of these have not been going out, or not all players have been receiving them, and this is something that once again Activision is addressing as well too, to hopefully get us these prestige unlock tokens and everything like that, because while I did grind through a prestige and I ended up unlocking what I wanted from the beginning anyway, and at the moment I'm content with what I have unlocked and I don't really necessarily need anything else unlocked, it is something in which that is kind of big though, because if I come across something that I still really want to unlock, I'd have the immediate ability to do so. The next thing that they ended up addressing in this support article deals with lost ranks and stats, where pretty much people have been reset for something, and while there's no real clarity on what, it keeps happening. So you might have been affected by this little bug, but right now it is something that if that's happened, your stats may be restored, but they're still looking for an active fix here for this. Now, another thing that they ended up mentioning was that people can't redeem game code content on Xbox One and on Xbox One specifically. So whereas PC and PlayStation 4 and even Xbox One has the ability to do different things for pre-order content, different promotional content and everything like that, Xbox One has been giving a little bit of an issue where it's been rejecting codes or it's been redeeming and not placing these things on accounts. So therefore, that's one thing that is being investigated as well, because a lot of people want that stuff that they rightfully earned or bought. So definitely nice to see that one being addressed as well. Another thing that is absolutely massive deals with the long load times for headquarters. This is something that is being extremely investigated, and heavily so, because while it is easy to criticize the servers and everything like that, headquarters, as we mentioned in a video recently, may actually be one of the big causes for some of these long load times, some of these issues with servers, just because it's so much more that has to be loaded in and connected to. So while load times for headquarters themselves may be long, itself might be a little bit of the problem. So while it's being investigated, we're just going to have to deal a little bit once again with this. And now the two final things deal with supply drops. The first one being that an open supply drop may give you the error saying unable to get into the inventory. That's a connection issue, and that's something that players have been experiencing, and it goes back all the way until supply drops really started. I remember I got those in Advanced Warfare. I got them so much in Black Ops 3. It was kind of annoying, but the nice part is that these actually do have some sort of resolution to them. Your content is not lost, but it just might take a little bit of time for it to appear in your inventory. So they said to give at max 8 hours here for this to show up, but after that point in time, it should all be there and all work its way out to your account. Now the final thing, once again dealing with supply drops, is that whenever you open something, there might not be anything at all. meaning that drops aren't displayed. But once again, there is resolution to this one in which they're earned, they just might glitch out whenever they end up coming in, and therefore not display coming out of the supply drop. So along with that one, and like the last one, is that if you give it 8 hours up to that, it should end up showing in your inventory. So that's the 14 things that Activision themselves detailed will be coming and are under investigation right now. Fixes for these should be out in hopefully the next few days or something like that. But one thing that I really want to stress is that you guys might be experiencing a problem that is not on this list of 14 things, and that does not mean that they're going to not be addressing these. That just means that the support article wasn't a result of an overabundance of the same exact issue being reported every 5 seconds or so, who knows? But it is something that, of course, feedback and support tickets are being looked at, they're being addressed, and hopefully in a very short period of time, we have a game that is a little bit more complete than what some people may consider right now, but a game certainly that is a lot more ironed out compared to what we see now with all these different bugs, glitches, and other things like that. So these issues are not the only ones that are being addressed and that are being spearheaded by both Sledgehammer and Activision. These are the ones that just were publicly stated as being investigated because there were so many different support tickets going into the same different categories of these issues themselves. So that said, a lot is probably going to be on the horizon. I'm very hopeful. I still very much so enjoy the game. Though I've experienced some of these sorts of things and these issues before, I'm still very much so enjoying it, and I think once these issues are ironed out, it will definitely be one of the best CODs in recent years. And that's something that I can say pretty much firmly, I believe that, and once again, your opinion may differ, but of course, that's totally cool. But nonetheless, hopefully this helped clear up some of the things on hand for everyone, and of course, if you guys have any issues that you guys have been experiencing, feel free to let me know down there in the comment section down below. I can't speak on behalf of Activision or Sledgehammer, so I can't really say, you know what, this will definitely be addressed, but if there is something, maybe, who knows, that it comes in contact with being something that is a general problem, and it might be fixed in a relatively quick fashion. But nonetheless, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, hopefully this helped clarify some things, and if it did, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe to stay up to date with everything we have here regarding Call of Duty World War II. We're going to be killing it with the content going forward. Thank you guys all so much for the continued support as of recently, truly means the world to me. So if you guys want to make sure you stay up to date with everything and don't miss a single beat, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected with me outside of YouTube. I practically live on Twitter, so if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. But all that said and out of the way, hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care, and peace.